Unreal. Unreal. Warhammer itself is reminding people about fascism. A gaming company is lecturing people about politics. Now, if you did this in 2019, then I would be like, yeah, they have a point. I find it hilarious that a toy company, of all places, is lecturing its customers, the people who put food on their table, about fascismus in 2021. Had they done this in 2019, they might have had the point. It's 2021. Like, how do you think someone from Austria or Australia is feeling about reading this? Like, oh yeah, fascismus is wrong. I have seen how people react when they're afraid. Since 2020, I think everyone has seen how people react when they're afraid. How do you think people would react if it's an existential crisis like in Warhammer 40k, where you have the orcs, you have the Tyranids, you have the Dark Eldar? How do you think people would react in such a situation? Would they go to fascism? Not only would they go, they would applaud it. I mean, praise the God Emperor and all that. So let's stop pretending that fascism is edgy anymore when you have the government deciding if people are allowed or not to leave their houses. Okay, so please cut this shit. Spare me your morality, especially when, like, Games Workshop is never going to say anything negative about China. What, is China a democratic nation now? Is it a bastion of freedom and liberty? Oh, it's not? Why aren't you complaining about them? Oh, are your toys manufactured there or something? I don't know. It's just very interesting. I am so sick and tired of these virtuous corporations like, oh yes, we're good fascism. I have never seen in my life so many human rights being trampled like I have seen recently. Like, for example, just the smallest one that I can think of was the CDC moratorium in the United States, where apparently if you have a person that doesn't want to pay rent living in your house, you can't kick them out, right? Because pandemic, horrible. I agree. No, I fully agree. CDC had the heart, even though they didn't have the legal mandate to do this. But, however, if a bank wanted to kick you out because you're not paying mortgage, well, that's a different story. The science works differently for banks. Did Warhammer have something to say about it? No. Did anyone give a shit? No. Oh, I see. Fascinating, isn't it? Yes, please lecture me more about the dangers of fascismus Warhammer 40k. Maybe I should write on my resume if I find a job application, and I'll say, hey, what is your education? Oh, I've been lectured about fascism. Oh, really? Where did you study? At the Warhammer 40k forum. And apparently this is because some fan decided to be edgy. So at an unofficial tournament, some fan wore some Nazi symbols. Nazis aren't even fascists, you dumb fucks. They're National Socialists, a completely different ideology. Benito Mussolini actually said that fascism has nothing to do with race. Both ideologies are bad, don't get me wrong. I would say that Nazism is worse, but it's not fascism. Like, let's be a little bit clear if we're going to lecture people. Don't spread dangerous misinformation. So, our fantasy settings are grim dark, but that is not a reflection of who we are. No, you're just making money of these evil ideologies, huh? Oh my god. The statement comes after one fan wore a Nazi symbol to an unofficial tournament in Spain, and he got thrown out. Most fans get that Warhammer 40k is not real, and if it were, life in this universe would be exceedingly nasty, brutish, and short. But some of its aesthetic and lore has been co-opted by the alt-right, white supremacists, and other crypto-fascist groups. Fuck off. There's communists and people on the far left that have co-opted the Commissar. Why aren't you calling them out? They think the Imperium of Man, a feudalistic galactic empire modeled after Rome, full of enslaved races, and ruled by a 10,000-year-old psychic kept alive by cyborg implants, called the Emperor of Mankind, is a model on which to base their politics. I don't think any single person believes that. I for one, 100% do not think that any fan of Warhammer 40k believes that. But the problem is that the developers are suffering from mental deficiency. They cannot tell an edgy boy, a person that's trying to be edgy, versus someone that's legitimately doing this seriously. Like, I don't. Is there any serious political organization and people who are dead serious using Warhammer 40k as a template? Of course there isn't, but it's interesting because you can't be edgy. You can't pretend, but they can pretend while they're making a game. So they're allowed to be edgy. You're not allowed to be edgy. What the fuck is this? So apparently, like so many aspects of Warhammer 40k, the Imperium of Man is satirical. Wow, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that they had to come up and say this because I would have never known. I thought it's real. I might have become a progressive thinking that fiction is reality. And by the way, do you know what's interesting about Warhammer 40k? I know a lot of Star Trek fans, and a lot of Star Trek fans wanted to live in Star Trek. I mean, this is before we actually had access to the technology of Star Trek, because back then when I grew up, the idea of having an iPad was like, wow, what do you mean? It doesn't have a wire? You don't plug it in? Like, how does it work? So, all Star Trek fans would like to be in Star Trek. I know Star Wars fan who would like to be in Star Wars. I don't know a single goddamn person who's a Warhammer 40k fan and wants to be in Warhammer. I mean, the whole appeal is that, yes, it's grim dark, but it's kind of like looking at pictures of a ruined house. You know, it looks cool, but you don't want to be in it. It's kind of like looking to a train accident, and you look at it horrified that you can't look away, but you don't want to be in it. Or, heaven forbid, you don't want it to be happening. Like, that's the difference. And I'm pretty sure, like, the developers know it, but it's a great chance for them to farm up that ESG score, to come out and say how virtuous they are, make a statement, because, yeah, without them, the rise of the Fourth Reich would happen. People would just play Warhammer 40k, and more people would start appearing with swastikas. Fucking hell, man. I am so disgusted seeing grown-ass adults acting as if they're children, and pretending that they don't know the difference between fact and fiction, and all of this nonsense. Especially in 2021, I don't want to hear a single person that says, oh, well, fascism is evil. No, I mean, I'm looking at what's happening in the world right now, and people are becoming more and more like China, and it's for a good cause, of course. We need to support the Chinification of the modern world. It's really great. It's getting to the point where people from Australia can actually find freedom if they're going to China. So there's a bigger effort in the rest of the world to surpass China in their way of thinking and their way of doing things. So I'm curious if Warhammer is going to have to say something about that. You know, actual issues, like actual world events that do influence people, not some edgy boy that went into a shop, God knows where in Spain, in an unofficial tournament, and oh my god, he had the swastika. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Okay. I hope the cops get him. I hope they throw the book at him. Let me know what you guys have to say, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.